CTV News with Lauren Stallone.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. A highly anticipated affordable housing project now faces financial uncertainty. It's meant to house newcomers to Canada, and as Daryl Newcomb reports, time is of the essence to get the finances sorted.
We're hoping to provide some stability to this neighborhood.
The Cross-Cultural Learners Centre has spent 5 years planning this 24-story residential building for newcomers to Canada in the Old East Village. More than 30% of the units will be affordable housing. 22% will be fully accessible. But the project suddenly faces financial uncertainty because of a dispute with city staff about a policy that waives development charges on affordable housing.
City staff has recommended that only a portion of the units in the project should be approved for abatement of the development fees.
What would that mean for this project?
About a $3 million hole.
According to a staff report, quote, a technical reading of the Development Charges Act requires that the full exemption be applied only to nonprofit corporations whose primary objective is to provide housing. City staff argue the CCLC's primary objective is not housing. So based on the city's calculations, 75 affordable units would have DCs waived, but 138 market rent units would still require a $3.1 million payment.
I think it's super important, right, to have that building there, to have all those feet on the street.
Councillor Susan Stevenson suggests the situation results from city staff having to take a technical approach to development policies.
But it is within committee and council's purview to, notwithstanding that policy, to grant the full DC exemption.
And this dispute over development charges with City Hall comes as the project faces significant deadlines that must be met to ensure it breaks ground on schedule. Lang says negotiations are currently underway with the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation about providing a loan to cover the vast majority of costs.
This might affect our negotiation with them. We've been dealing with them for several years, and the challenge is we might have to go back to ground zero.
CCLC will appeal the development charge decision at City Hall next week, seeking a full waiver. In the event the appeal is unsuccessful, Councillor Stevenson will look to her council colleagues.
I will have an alternate motion ready that grants the full DC exemption as was planned.
Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
Provincial police say they're investigating a fatal crash near Cortland. Police say only one vehicle was involved on Highway 3 last night, closing the road for their investigation. They say the driver was a 36-year-old from Norfolk County, and they were pronounced dead at the scene. A physical building is starting to take shape at the PowerCo site in St. Thomas. The company released this video today along with a statement saying the project has moved into vertical construction across the 350-acre site. According to PowerCo officials, hundreds of local tradespeople have worked on the project so far. The $7 billion manufacturing facility is expected to open next year, producing batteries for Volkswagen's electric vehicles and employing up to 3,000 skilled workers. A new short-term rental bylaw is now in effect in Central Elgin. Officials say it's meant to address the annual summer tourism boom in beachside communities. Brian Bicknell reports.
Property owners who rent out units for 28 days or less now have to be licensed and registered with the municipality. There's a one-time application fee of $300 along with an annual license fee of $650. The municipality says costs are revenue neutral and cover administration and inspections.
So our fire code, the building code, and other aspects of municipal bylaws that help to ensure that those who stay in these units are safe and that neighbors are respected as well.
Central Elgin says it will begin with an education campaign before enforcement. Fines for violating the bylaw range from $300 to $1,000 depending on the violation. Between 200 and 250 units are expected to be licensed during the peak summer season. Municipal Clerk Delaney Leach says the bylaw comes as a number of temporary workers continues to grow with the ongoing construction of PowerCo in St. Thomas, as well as a number of other major industries.
At this time, the vast majority of our units are located in Port Stanley, associated with the tourism industry. But with the broader industrial and economic growth in this area, we're certainly seeing far more closer to London and the Belmont area, closer to St. Thomas. It's becoming something that, workers and their crews are using as folks are coming into this area. So we expect numbers to grow significantly in the coming years.
In Central Elgin, Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Bruce County officials are warning residents about an ice jam in the Saugeen River that could let go. According to the Saugeen Conservation Authority, warm temperatures and rainfall could cause the ice jam to let go. Officials say anyone upstream from the jam should keep their distance until it melts or moves out. The father of a 15-month-old boy whose death is at the center of a manslaughter trial faced hours of questioning from the defense today, suggesting he was trying to sway police and how they were investigating the case. Nick Paparella reports.
Kent McClellan spent a second full day on the stand at the manslaughter trial looking into the death of his 15-month-old son, Nathaniel. During cross-examination, the defense wasted little time, suggesting that in the months after the toddler died, McClellan was trying to convince investigators to put out another news release stating he and his wife weren't suspects in the case. I wanted the public to know the parents have fully cooperated. He went on to say, I would have liked them to let the public know that I wasn't a suspect. However, he admitted that he knew officers wouldn't have done that. McClellan said that with no arrests in the case more than a year after the death, he was getting approached by people in the community wondering what was going on. I wanted the public to know that this was an ongoing and active investigation. After dying from a head injury in the fall of 2015, it would take years for police to eventually charge Nathan's babysitter, Megan Van Hoof. The 46-year-old operated a home daycare in Strathroy at the time and has pled not guilty. The trial, which started in September, has had a number of delays with scheduling. The court has heard that 15 more days may be needed, and it could last into April, May, or June. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
Bruce County officials have released a 10-year housing plan. County Council has received a report laying out plans for more than 4,000 new homes in the coming decade. More than half would be single-family homes. About a third would be affordable or deeply affordable. The report cites planned expansion at the Bruce Power nuclear plant as driving the need for more housing. A local veteran is sharing his story, detailing the impact his service dog has had on his life. As Sean Irvin reports, without that support, he may not be around today.
Andrew Goff shares a moment with his best friend, Riggs. With raw emotion, he explains how the 10-year-old white German Shepherd has kept him alive.
What has Riggs done for me? Saved my life.
Riggs came to Andrew as the impact of his dual career in the military and policing began to greatly impact his ability to function. Following a military operation in Libya in 2014, he was on the verge of taking his own life. But after taking part in a retreat for PTSD, he discovered a service dog could help him cope. Riggs arrived a year later.
And that dog saves my life every day.
Riggs would follow Andrew to his job as a police sergeant and as an instructor at the Ontario Police College. The pair became well known to new recruits as they learned about the impacts of PTSD.
I believe has changed their perspective to the point where not only will they care about the community and the public more, but also create a baseline for themselves.
Some of those recruits and a dozen first responders from across the country are part of a charity Riggs inspired. Andrew created Veterans and Everyday Heroes to support the purchase of service dogs. The organization is looking for public support.
To date, we have the hand in either purchasing or pairing through other organizations 15 service dogs.
Each dog costs between $25,000 and $35,000.
They aren't covered by Veterans Affairs. They're not covered by WSIB. They're only covered by private funding.
For Andrew, cost won't be a factor now that Riggs has retired. He tells us he is now ready to go out into the world without a service dog, thanks to the good work of his four-legged best friend and therapist.
There will be no other service dog quite like him.
Sean Irvin, CTV News.
The Stratford Festival is gearing up for its 74th season. Tickets go on sale this Saturday for what will be the last season under artistic director Anthony Simolino. Season highlights this year include Guys and Dolls, Something Rotten, and The Hobbit. Coming up, a different kind of morning routine, how one BC man starts his day swimming and singing. The TSX gained 240 points, helped by gains in the energy sector. On Wall Street, the Dow rose 270 and the Nasdaq fell over 100. The loonie slipped a little over a fifth of a cent. Gold was down $1.80 and oil jumped $1.77 a barrel. New numbers on the Canadian economy suggest markets are stabilizing ahead of a potentially significant ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court on the legality of President Donald Trump's emergency tariff powers. Here's Abigail Beeman.
Are they legal or are they not?
That's the big question that could be answered by the United States Supreme Court Friday about the American president's decision to impose so-called IEEPA tariffs. That's the International Emergency Economic Power Act on countries including Canada. This trade expert says impacted businesses should make sure to keep all paperwork.
Will the Supreme Court say that those tariffs that have been collected, if they are in fact illegal, then what happens to the money that's been collected to date? If it's supposed to then go back to those who it has been collected from illegally, then our clients and businesses in general will be looking to see some of that money refunded.
There's not a lot of optimism about a likely messy refund situation. Meanwhile, new numbers from October show Canada recorded a smaller than expected trade deficit overall.
The big takeaway is that things are kind of not moving all that much with the U.S. in terms of overall trade. They're kind of in a holding pattern. What we saw in contrast is that exports were through the roof for non-U.S. countries that we're sending goods to.
Donald Trump is still extolling the virtues of tariffs, posting Tuesday, "Thank you, Mr. Tariff. Pray that the United States Supreme Court allows our country to continue its unprecedented march toward unparalleled greatness."
I think that the U.S. administration is going to continue to impose tariffs, irrespective of the outcome.
The Supreme Court's decision could also send a broader message about the American president's power.
Is the Supreme Court going to signal that even though there are other potential tariff legislation in the U.S. that the president could use, that maybe those are not going to be good either?
The Canadian government isn't saying much about the expected ruling. A source tells CTV News they are letting the judicial process follow its course and will continue to get ready for the upcoming free trade review. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A deepening divide in America tonight over immigration enforcement after yet another shooting by federal agents, this time in Portland. The Department of Homeland Security revealing it happened during what they call a targeted vehicle stop, alleging the passenger was an undocumented Venezuelan affiliated with a prostitution ring and recently involved in a Portland shooting. They say the driver, a gang member, tried to run over the agents, prompting a, quote, defensive shot. Today marks the 6th anniversary of the Ukraine International Airlines flight that was shot down over Iran. Families of the victims held a ceremony today in the Toronto area. Events were also planned in Windsor and Vancouver. Iranian officials shot down the plane minutes after it took off from the Tehran on January 8, 2020. All 176 people on board, including 4 Western University grad students, were killed. Canadian leaders have vowed to hold the Iranian regime accountable for violating international law. Meanwhile, the local Iranian community held a rally this afternoon advocating for human rights in their homeland.
It's my responsibility as an Iranian just to be the voice of people who are being killed at this moment and being arrested.
The rally takes place amid ongoing developments affecting Iran and growing engagement of Iranian community abroad. Organizers called it a solidarity event.
They want regime change. People of Iran are just very different than the people who are governing them, and it's just basically, just occupying them.
Good evening, folks. I'm meteorologist Gary Archibald for CTV News. A huge plume of warm air, a good southwesterly flow has certainly persisted today, and through the overnight, this massive system is bringing with it not just the warm temperatures, but of course the showers and even potential thunderstorms over parts of extreme southwestern Ontario. I'm anticipating rain through the overnight, rumbles of thunder, and we could still see temperatures in the double digits like we did in parts of southern Ontario today. I'll break down what you need to know and see if this system, this area of low pressure, brings not just the rain, the wind, but record-setting temperatures into the weekend. It's all coming up.
Gary's here now with a detailed look at your weather. Gary?
Lauren, we are definitely in uncharted territory, at least for January so far. It's a short sequence of events that have taken place over a very early stage of this new year, but it's significant because the temperatures have really been accentuated at times. We were looking at projections of about 16, 17 degrees tomorrow over parts of southern Ontario. So that, in a nutshell, is what we're dealing with. Very warm air in place. In case in point, today we were 9 degrees above seasonal for a daytime high. Reached 7, our average high is in the minuses, -2. But that's what we would expect at this time of the year in the first couple of weeks of January. So winter right now is in a warm pattern because of the jet stream and encroaching showers, and the southerly flow of warm air continues to push right through the heart of southern Ontario for tomorrow. Technically, within the next couple of hours, we'll see the worst of it, but we've already seen some showers across extreme southwestern Ontario in and around Lake St. Clair already late this evening. By the way, the next system on its heels will bring not just rain, but some freezing rain and potentially some snow further north towards Georgian Bay, the Bruce Peninsula. So we will start to feel like winter soon enough. The rain is significant, 10 to about 15, 20 millimeters across the region over the next, say, 12 to 18 hours. The thunder and lightning, yeah, that's a story for extreme southwestern Ontario. Sarnia, I would say, perhaps more so for Chatham, Kent, Windsor, Essex. But yeah, it's a buoyant air mass, very indicative of what we would see in perhaps late spring, early summer. Convective showers, that's what we're talking about. So some lightning and thunder tonight, early tomorrow, technically speaking. Here's the breakdown, by the way. We'll see a high that could match or surpass the 11 degrees Celsius record that was set way back in 1939. Could see that around 2 or 3 p.m. Rain in the morning, plus it's a windy day. Good southwesterly wind will change to the northwest towards the evening. Here's the breakdown. Look at this. Maximum and minimum temperatures go from way up 11 degrees down to about -2, all within 72 hours. And the precipitation type changes from rain, thunderstorms, to a wintry mix, ice pellets, freezing rain, and wet snow. And speaking of snow and flurries, we could see a mix throughout next week. The Midwest, a similar looking forecast. We could see some records set in Goderich and Grand Bend tomorrow, double digits, around 10 or 11 degrees as well. Then things just get colder as the warm air mass is displaced by a much colder polar air mass from the north-northwest. And that's why daytime highs Monday through to Thursday, Friday of next week will be seasonal. They'll be in the minuses where they would normally be. That's a look at your weather. Good night.
Thanks, Gary. NASA is taking the rare step of ending a space mission early and returning a crew on board the International Space Station to Earth.
Yesterday, January 7th, a single crew member on board the station experienced a medical situation and is now stable. After discussions with Chief Health and Medical Officer Dr. J.D. Polk and leadership across the agency, I've come to the decision that it's in the best interest of our astronauts to return Crew 11 ahead of their planned departure.
The crew is made up of 2 Americans, 1 Russian and 1 Japanese astronaut. Due to privacy concerns, NASA won't say which astronaut is affected or the nature of the medical situation. A new cafe in Ohsweken has a menu with a mission. It is a diabetic-friendly establishment that allows people to enjoy a meal without having to overthink the ingredients. CTV's Karis Mapp has more.
I never knew that a place like this even existed.
A quaint cafe nestled in the heart of Ohsweken is catering to a cause. It came to be after owner John Joseph was diagnosed with diabetes in June.
I knew I was overweight, but my breathing was getting bad. I was getting really sluggish in the morning. I didn't want to get out of bed, and I was just feeling, I knew something was wrong.
With his health now a priority, Joseph was being mindful of his meals, which proved to be a struggle when eating at restaurants.
Even going in and getting a plain chicken, the sauce on it's got sugar, the salads have sugar, so I thought, well, I can't be the only person experiencing this.
Now his Skuna Cafe is bringing people from all around to check out the unique menu.
Everything is balanced, the macros are all set up, and so you get your proper amounts for each meal. And even the desserts that we have that come with our meals, there absolutely no sugar in them.
This family from Port Dover made the 40-minute drive.
The lion's share of restaurants out there do not cater to diabetics at all. Most places are very, very good at making accommodations, but I watch what I eat like a hawk. I have to.
Diabetes is a disease that develops when your body isn't making enough insulin, and extremely prevalent on the Six Nations Reserve.
We look at economic factors, like historical lack of access to healthcare as well too, and ongoing lack of access to nutritious foods and traditional foods that really kind of perpetuates the diabetes.
Six Nations is also known as a food desert due to the lack of grocery stores in the area.
It's very reassuring that I know I can send patients somewhere where they're going to get a nutritious meal that's good for their blood sugars as well too. And it's great to see these community-led initiatives really popping up.
Joseph says he plans to expand the space so more people can enjoy the nutritious and delicious food.
Giving elders a safe place to come and eat and enjoy a diabetic meal without feeling guilty about going out for dinner and getting off their diet or eating something unhealthy.
Karis Mapp, CTV News, Ohsweken.
You may have noticed new labels on items at the grocery store indicating whether items are high in things like sugar, saturated fat, and sodium. The labels are the result of a new Health Canada regulation. However, there are exemptions to the new regulations. Things like fresh fruits and vegetables, as well as fresh meat and poultry, do not require the labels.
Tonight's Slopes Report is brought to you by Bowler Mountain. The January thaw is no feat for the fabulous folks at Bowler Mountain. They're busy maintaining a 40-centimeter base of machine-groomed granular snow with 15 trails open and 4 lifts operating. It's all systems go for a great time on the hill. And their tubing is also open until 9:30 p.m. Blue Mountain has an 80-centimeter base of machine-groomed snow with 42 trails open and 9 lifts operating. And over at Mount St. Louis Moonstone in Coldwater, they have a 60-centimeter snow depth of machine-groomed snow. All 36 runs are open with 7 lifts operating. Although the forecast is not ideal with rain and milder temperatures, the automated snowmaking systems at Bowler Mountain cover most of its terrain to ensure excellent conditions year-round. And if tubing is more your thing, the River Valley Winter Tube Slide at St. Mary's is also open. At 100 feet high and 800 feet long, the snow slides are full of thrills for all ages. Have a great weekend and happy skiing.
A marriage proposal in Michigan turned into a viral moment recently when the groom-to-be dropped the ring, which fell right through a suspension bridge, landing in the snow 30 meters below.
I was in complete shock. I can't believe I did that. All that money, oh my God. I just ruined her proposal.
I just laughed because this was such a Trevor thing to do. I think I was just more or less like, oh crap, what do we do next?
The proposal took place on the Sky Bridge at Michigan's Boyne Mountain Resort. The couple say they spent a few hours searching through the snow, but weren't able to find the ring. However, the resort says employees were able to use a metal detector, and they were able to find the ring before returning it to them. On the 1st of January, many people jump into the ocean for a polar bear swim. But for one BC man, every day is New Year's Day. Rain or shine, winter or summer, he doesn't just swim, he sings. Adam Swatsky explains.
Matthew Kirby had been walking along this beach for decades when one day the waves seemed to welcome him.
I was called into that ocean. I'm sure of that. Called? Yeah.
An invitation the retired teacher accepted, despite the cold.
Takes your breath away a little bit. It feels sharp.
It's bracing before becoming unexpectedly embracing.
Because when I'm in the ocean, it is my great friend.
The first day, he could only stand the cold for 2 minutes. The next day, 4. But by the end of the week, Matthew was spending more than half an hour swimming in the ocean.
Coldness of the water actually frees me and allows me to think more clearly.
It's an opportunity to admire his current surroundings, reflect on his past adventures, and commune with the loved ones he no longer can.
I did often think about my father, and he used to sing to me when I was a boy.
So although Matthew had never previously considered singing in public before, he was inspired to do just that.
Waltzing Matilda.
It felt so good, he didn't stop.
Oh, Danny boy. The pipes are calling.
And for the past few years, no matter the season, Matthew sings about 20 songs every morning.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
I sing because it's joyful, and I sing for myself.
Matthew never imagined that he'd also end up singing for strangers on shore.
Well, he's a wonderful singer, and I was harmonizing yesterday, but quietly to myself as I walk along.
While Asa Petrie's inspired to sing along, Arifin Graham observes how Matthew's musicality improves the moods of people passing.
He has this music inside of him which just keeps bubbling up, and it touches people, I think, in a very positive way.
And when we can be confronted by so much negativity by the end of the day, to know that you can begin the next morning in this way is a gift, Matthew says, that he accepts with a grateful song.
Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Adam Swatsky, CTV News, Oak Bay.
That's our time tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Lauren Stallone. Have a good night.